Google wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money. It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
Welcome, folks. It is Power Hour, and I am Steve, and this is Power Hour with Steve. We are going to hop right into it because we've had some wild and crazy index trading today. If you are a scalper, you are in heaven here with these big moves from open there into the midday. You get another big move, and then we get the real slide, as it seems, into the end here. So we are going to keep on tracking if this slide keeps on going. You can see now that I'm in a trade live on TQQQ. I got in a little early, but I held my ground. We took profit. We are riding runners here. We've got a few targets underneath, and we are going to see how this plays out for us. So we've got some interesting things to talk about. Let's pull to a little bit higher time frame here and check about what's going on. We had this vicious double bottom. Let's get off of TQQQ. Let's get on the regulars. All right, we had this vicious double bottom here that everybody in the world was expecting to hold up here, myself included, and we are not seeing that follow through today. And we got to be careful about this because if we zoom on out and we forget about this double bottom idea, maybe it's a triple bottom. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't trust triple bottoms. I think they're mythical creatures, kind of like a unicorn. I think a triple bottom is just a level that's being tested and finding no buyers yet. So I got to be a little worried here. If we don't see buyers step in, we'll keep an eye, as we said, of course, into close here because the closing of today's candle will be very important. Let's look at the daily candle here. And as you can see, coming on into this neckline, this very important level here, and we got to keep an eye on this zone. Let's take a look at SPY because we are seeing a little bit of divergence there this week. But same basic idea, right back into this neckline. And you don't like to see heaviness into this neckline, especially when you think it's done down here. So you think it's a double bottom and then it comes back and revisits and it's bad news. So we're keeping a close eye on that for sure. Let's hop back into closer time frames. And it looks like we are getting a little bit of a bounce. Nothing that I'm too worried about. As we see, we just wick on down and we'll move our stop right over that wick because buyers just stepped in there. And if sellers stepped in here. And if sellers back out and buyers reclaim this level, I don't want to be in anyway. I will take my nice little continuation scalp win on the runners. We got a nice take profit down here. And we just keep the trade rolling as long as momentum is looking down. All right. We got to keep track of the VIX as well. Whenever we get these big moves, we're looking to see if they have legs based on whether the VIX shows legs too, shows continuation. So man, very strong on the day, showing no signs of slowing down yet. We'll keep an eye on this doji, but shouldn't be a problem. And let's zoom on out, get a little bit of a better picture of the VIX here. I don't know about you guys, but this is looking spooky for longs, for index longs. This looks like a cup and handle on VIX testing this neckline. And if we do get a nice pop, we're talking about a pretty considerable move here. So this would look like on the indices, a real flush out of sentiment here. Everybody's so bullish into the end of the year. And I still am, despite the fact that I'm bearish short term here. So I could see a big flush out to 650. This is where I'd like. So let's start drawing some stuff out here. Oh, I just heard something fill. I think it was a stop loss. So maybe Qs are bouncing. Let's take a look. Yep. All right. They took my stop. So I'm out here. Now we can start considering the potential for a long. We are pretty stretched on the daily. This is looking pretty good for a long. We're looking for an expansion candle here. We want to close over this mid-level, and then we will buy on a little wick back into here. That's how we'll look to play this. And let's start doodling here, because you know me, I love doodling. So first off, we have a little downtrend line action here, something like this. Doesn't have to be too exact, but we're just trying to get a feel for it. We're going to draw out some zones here as well. So this might actually be our entry. Oh, you see, it's wicking back already. So basically, we were looking for a bullish imbalance to come back and heal. And let's see. I'm going to take a little nibble here. I did not get filled. All right. That might have been the entry. So we were looking for a wick back into here, and now it's probably going to push up. We'll see if it comes back for us here. There, of course, after I cleared the order and I was cleared for placing something, that's when it wicks up on us there. So, hey, maybe it'll come back for us. But either way, looking like it's trying to base and push up here. So what are we going to be looking for? We're going to be looking for it to run stops here and right on up and see how much juice it has. So I'm going to check my other screen and check on the gamma profiles. We have the biggest node is at 660. Let me switch to Qs. But 660 on SPY. So that's the level where we would not expect it to close under. Looks like we did get a fill there long. We like to see it. We're going to put our stop right under that swing low. And that's good for now. All right. So 600 on QQQ. We're going to draw that out because that's our big GEX level. And that is kind of why we were exiting our short and looking for a long. So whenever we have a GEX level, I just like to draw a little bit, maybe 25 cents on either side. Give it a little wiggle room. And that usually provides a good little zone. So whenever you see the GEX level, so 600 for example, give it a little bit of room on either side to cook. And that is generally where it's going to tag and look to reverse over. Because the general idea here is if they close the market under 600, about 400,000 puts are going to have to be paid out. And market makers do not want to do that. They have an incentive to keep it over here. So going a little red on this trade. Let's see if we hold. If not, no worries. We are trading in profit. There's a chance that it just needs to revisit this zone. But you know what? We're scalping here. I'd wait for me to get stopped out and for it to show another bottom. We're okay with that. So as this cooks, so I don't look at it too close, we'll talk about the trades we did take this morning and why we're playing with the cushion today. So right out of the gate, we were biased bearish, but with caveats. Our momentum oscillators on the hourly were showing that we were rolling over. Unfortunately, I can't show it on Trader Evolution, but you'll have to believe me. You can look at your RSI on the hourly or MACD, anything like that, and you would see that it looked bearish. But then if you looked at like the half hour or the 15-minute, they were showing some bullish divergences. So we looked for a little bit of a long just as soon as it started to wick up here. We luckily got in right about this 605.50. We saw that pivot forming and caught a nice scalp. I did not catch the whole thing. I sold right about here. Looks like I got stopped out. Way she goes. All right. So we took a short trade here, or not a short trade, a short duration trade here, took a nice little scalp. And then unfortunately, I was in a meeting and I missed this, but this was looking like a really nice short. If you did catch this from the 610 handle, we had a big gamma level there too that we can draw out. So this one overshot a little bit and tried to build support, but momentum oscillators, again, we're starting to roll here. This is all in retrospect. I didn't catch this trade, but you can see it powered down really nicely. And then we did catch this short from here when it was just consolidating near these two lows. That's not a sign that you want. And then it gave a nice little dead cat bounce, and that's all she wrote. Oh, look at him run our stop. Oh, do we chase? No, we'll be good. This is a good a good learning experiment. So if you have this whole zone here and the stop or in the low of the day is here, you probably can't do this intermediate low here like I wanted. for a stop. They might need to run it back just a little deeper. They didn't even need to get it to the 600 in full, but it does look like this is going to be a double bottom, and it should push now. So we can look for another entry. That's no worries. I'm not going to chase it, just in case we're wrong. But basically what we are seeing is an attempt to base off of this gamma level, and now we can look for the next gamma level up for a target. And we have a little bit at 603 and 604, but nothing really till 605. So that's going to be the next zone we draw out. And that's way up here. Okay. Potential entry here long off this kind of base area, but no, not feeling the need to push anything here. Let's take a look around the market and see what we're seeing. Apple doing their best. We're going to switch to 15-minute charts for this. But that is rough in general. So we're trying to do an undercut and reclaim. Let's just go around to the big boys. Microsoft doing their best to hold on. This is probably going to be a theme, but this one is holding much better than the majority of tech. As you can see, it's still well off the highs, and we do like to see this. Microsoft is a long that we are in. Google is our other mega cap, and this one again holding up really nicely comparatively. If we look at the Mag S for Mag 7, you can see in general Mag 7 is holding up better than most of the market. So they're running to the lifeboat, so to speak. Breadth is narrowing, but we are basically doing a 50% retrace. So if the market's going to be saved, it'll be on the back of Mag 7, but then it would be a narrow breadth rally, and that's a little bit sus. So just some things to keep in mind. Let's look at Amazon. Doing its very best to bottom, but see the relative weakness from yesterday. Very notable relative weakness there. We got Meta looking terrible at their lows a day, just as low as the general market. So not a good sign there, not a good look. We can look at Netflix, and we'll look at Nvidia and Tesla. Netflix showing relative weakness compared to the overall market, but a little bit of relative strength today. Interesting to see some mean reversion. Nvidia here, not looking too terrible. We can watch for a reclaim of this low a day here. And Tesla. Very strong, actually. This is interesting. And it makes sense if you have this 400 level here, the psychological level. And there is probably a decent amount of gamma there too. So let's go back to the indices, see what we see. Hey, Arun. Hey, Guillermo. Welcome in. Welcome in. Let's see. All right, Guillermo. I can help you out for sure. He is saying, I saw an interesting video of yours where you showed a very interesting indicator, but I haven't been able to find it again. I can't say the name of the indicator. It was kind of like MACD. So you're thinking of the wave trend oscillator. So wave trend is going to be one word in Thinkorswim. And I use the one by FS Crypt, FSKRYPT. He wrote the script. There is another one by Lazy Bear that a couple of my friends use. Those are both really good. And that is what you're looking for. Wave trend, one word, oscillator. Yeah, and it's really nice. It's basically similar to a MACD in the sense that it's got a pair of oscillators. Yeah, I think I can post it right here. All right, just posted it there. It should pop up in just a second for you. Yeah, it's a really useful indicator. Unfortunately, we don't have it on Trade the Pool, but I'm going to see if I can maybe make that happen. Who knows? But it is really good because it has two smoothed EMAs, which kind of gives a little bit more of a idea of for example, pretend this is the oscillator, this range. It's more likely that they bottom in a similar area of the range and top at a similar area of the range. And therefore, it's easier to kind of gauge where you are on the wave trend, so to speak. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for popping in. If you have any more questions or any questions on how to use it, feel free to give me a ping either in Trade the Pools Discord or in my own Discord. Both I will see, and I will be more than happy to help you out there. It's a really good indicator. It's really helped me out, especially on morning opening trades, just for gauging the momentum. And it really helps me with conviction, just like to stick with a move. So SPY, as we see, little shake and bake. They're trying to build a base here, but this is not looking super instructive to me, to be completely honest. I'm seeing more incentive to just kind of dribble it on down unless they can clear this definitively. And that would take some volume since we just tried to push up a few times, once, lower low, higher high, potential higher low. So the name of the game is holding above this low or breaking above this high. And it looks like they just exhausted a lot of oomph, a lot of effort trying there. So we're going to keep an eye on this little range that's forming, but not looking super, super bullish quite yet. We thought it might be making a try with this, but we don't like this look, and we don't love this look either. If it's going to push up this hard, we want to see it clear something significant before it gives up. Instead, it just kind of reached back into the pivot of this previous range right here. See that pivot? And then rejected. So it tested this range. This range said no, we're back to this range. So now we see if volume can come in and actually punch through this range. It does look like it wants to try, so we'll keep an eye on this. Yeah, for today, I'm rehabilitating this this live account that I tilted out on like a month or two ago. So this one was down to $100 away from getting blown. We got it back to $300 away from break even. So we're making progress, boys. You know, it's never over. It's never over, no matter how tilted you get. Sometimes you just got to put it away and come back. So we're chipping away there. That's all I've been doing today. Scalping a little bit of SPY. I did get filled on a ONDS swing trade, and that was a big sell the news event. I am red on that. So small green for me today. Red on swings, green on the scalps. In terms of plays that I missed, this one's going to smart because I think it just keeps on going. I was charting this one out last night. It's coming back a little bit, so maybe it'll give me another entry. I was charting Zim out last night. I thought it would dip back in, retest somewhere around 16. It just never even looked back. And this one is powering through its 200-day moving average. You can't see it, but you'll have to believe me that the 200 moving average is like right there. So very strong chart. It's also breaking a big downtrend line. Draw that out for you. What the heck am I doing? There we go. Real clean downtrend line. Real nice higher low. You can call this an Adam and Eve double bottom. It's when you have the lower first drop that's very steep, and then a nice curly curved second low here. That's usually higher, almost always higher. So this is pretty textbook in that regard. We have the downtrend line break. We have the 200-day moving average break, and the confluence there, along with some bullish tailwinds in container shipping, lead this to be a chart that I'm very interested in. We'll pull up the weekly really quick as well, and you can see just how beautiful this base is. If it wants to get going, this thing can move very fast. There's also some macro / fundamental shake and bake here that you guys should be aware of. I believe they're trying to do some kind of management overthrow of some sort or other. So it's a spicy name, but one that I'm definitely keeping an eye on for a swing trade. Also getting some alerts about some of my energy names coming back into buy zones. So we can look at names like SLB, XOM, CVX for some of these swings here. I really do like SLB, but I think it might not quite be ready yet. But see, this is an area of interest. It's got this big base, and it's trying to break out. and it's back testing here. So I think it wants to come back just a little bit. I'm going to be watching this 35 handle, and I'd really like to get involved long here for a swing for a couple months out and target up here. We can look at the leader in the sector, and this is the oil industries and services sector. We have Halliburton, and they kind of already filled their neckline. Some crazy up and down move here. So these are other ones I'm watching. Hey, Sam, good to see you, man. Thoughts on you, earnings coming up. Let's take a look. It was a very compelling chart a while ago, and I think it just, gave it all back. So I think this one's gonna really test your patience, like many of these stage 2 breakouts do. But long term, if you're in shares, don't worry. I think what we're seeing is some sort of cup and handle forming like this. So you got your cup, you got your handle. It was not ready to just do a really tight power handle here. Like sometimes you'll see that on like a really strong name. It'll just surge up here, go through, back test, and go. But this one is probably going to have to actually develop it. So we can look at a few other things here. That looks like a pretty good line. Something like that. Yeah, I like that line. So we could look for the bottom of this, and then we can also think about the time. So maybe it gets sold off into the end of the year, and this is one we can have on our watch list to buy into the end of the year, maybe around this 30 handle. So you have the round number, you have this horizontal level, you have the flag target, you have the overall upwards momentum, which this still has, despite this, still is in an uptrend. You want some more confluence? I think I got one more for you here too, Sam. Got an uptrend line. Look at that. So this probably gets broken though. So maybe this is a bearish sign actually. All right, pretend that line isn't there. But in general, I think this is a good stock long term. It might need to take its sweet darn time, take a month or two, and carve out a right shoulder. So you have the left shoulder here, the head, the right shoulder for an inverted head and shoulders bottom. So those are what I'd look for. In general, I do think it's a good chart though, because it's consolidating over the neckline. If it holds here, beautiful. I'd probably think it probably doesn't. It needs to come down here first, and then it can pop, 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 something like that. Not a bad chart. All things considered, there are a lot worse charts out there. See what's going on in SPY on the 1 minute. And we're going to play a little game, guys. We got, half an hour left. Perfect timing. So we talked a little bit about our bias here today and what we're thinking. Where are we going? Are we going to close above 644 or below 664 or below 664? That's the line in the sand. We're going to draw it out. Place your bets. Feel free to post a 1 in the chat if you are bullish. You think we close above 664, and a 2 if you are a bear. We won't judge you either way. But remember, we got a few things. Oops. Get that out of the way. We've got this gamma zone. And I will check my gamma chart. See if there's any updates for us. But in general, looking like we are trying to buck the narrative that this is a bear flag. See, I said we're going to need to break over this. If we're bullish, we have to change the narrative. They tried once. They could not, but they made a higher low. Now they're pushing again. This is starting to be constructive here. Starting to be constructive. If we can get over this neckline and hold, find price acceptance, then we can come back to the 665. And this will be a probable pin area. All right, we like what we're seeing here. Good constructive price action. No panic. No panic. That's what we don't want to see. So 665, that's our upside target. We need to pop that, and more gamma needs to come in above that for that to be a stepping stone to a higher target. I think it's more likely that we gravitate up to here and pin around here unless something else comes in on the tape. There's a lot of those 660 puts. We're going to mark that out too. And this is the zone where they really, really don't want to close it below. So I think it's very unlikely. Oops, where's my rectangle? There's my rectangle. I think it's very unlikely we do get a close down here, but that is a notable level. Now we are going to clone our zone here for our target up, and then that'll be our range. The stretch target would be, man, there's nothing on the tape till 670, and that seems pretty crazy. Yeah, could call it that. And in general, when you have these kind of key zones, they'll very often just be roughly the same space apart from each other. You'll notice that over time. This one got nudged a little. It should be right there. Okay, we are going to keep an eye. I think this might be a whole lot of nothing kind of close here. Feels like the move has been made and we're going to pin. We can take take a look at some other charts here. I'm going to pull up my watch list. How about gold? Let's take a look at gold. Gold's doing wild stuff. Good, the handy dandy hourly chart. Whenever I'm going over general trends, I love the hourly charts. Hourly and 4 hourly. So we got the gap fill and we found buyers. In general, gold likes to play ball pretty uniformly. Like here, we found buyers here. We're going to make some bid. We're going to test this seller. The seller's still there. Okay, down. We're going to sweep this, fill the gap, find buyer. Now we're going to test this high right here, or this swing low. See, that's where the very first sellers are just starting to step in. So we're going to keep an eye for break of structure. In general, this is just kind of meandering along. I want it cheaper because I want to get long gold for a swing. And I don't think it's quite ready. Mostly I'm sad because I wanted it right about 350. Actually, I only wanted it like right about here, and it just didn't quite get there. It just took off without me. Then I almost bought it here, and I was like, nah, I'll wait for my level. That would have been the right move, but I think it's coming back for me. I think I was right the whole time. So we're going to keep an eye on if it can drop just a little bit more. Whoops, I'm drawing all sorts of lines here. In general, I think we are pennanting out and we are bullish overall. Might take a little bit of time though. So we could sweep down here. I would love it if we swept all the way down here. Maybe even down here to fill this gap. That'd be really nice. Let's pull up the daily. It's hard to be too bearish, but it doesn't look like it's necessarily time to buy yet. I would like to see this get kind of tested and reclaim, or for this whole structure to break down and for it to form like a channel like this down here. So we're keeping an eye on there, and I figure that silver is going to be stronger, but this could be a vicious double top. So we just got to wait and watch where the buyers step in. If they're still here in this W base with the gap, otherwise it could be a little sketchy. So let's check in on SPY. How's it doing with our bull bear line? Okay. Tried to break above, swept below. Now it's coming back. It's this classic pin action here. Classic pin action. Not a whole lot to do with this. I'm not a super hyper fast scalper, so this is not worth trading for me. When you get these kind of level breaks, these are the trades I really like to make. And in general, just look at all these top wicks, even on a 5-minute. This is not inspiring supreme confidence in anything. Let's see, consistent spike mentioning IonQ. IonQ stock climbs on Skyloom acquisition. Let's see what's going on there. I know it was 8 minutes ago now, so. Welcome, Upland Group. Who's buying this dip? Not me, not yet. I would like to buy a dip. I'm not seeing the signs I need yet, and we can talk about those. IonQ looks surprisingly good today. This looks like a nice constructive base. You could give it one of those. That's a pretty good look. Looks like a clean channel there too. You have the sweep out in the morning. You have the low coming back and testing that morning. This is a really nice textbook foundation for a push up. This is something you can kind of keep in your mental models. When you get the nice low of the day wick on high volume in the morning, it's likely if you're bullish, this won't get retested this low. What will often get retested is this kind of anchor point, this open where it drops and then reclaims. So this is an area of interest. You can look for a higher low to form. Say you're looking to get bullish, but you miss this opening move and you don't want to chase it with options up here or, with leverage up here. You don't want to, take a big position in your trade the pool account, for example, and have to ride this all down. So you can just set an alert and you can wait for this. That can be a really nice entry. Upland looking at Hood. Hood's a great name to look to buy the dip. It is such a power mover. It does look oversold. Seeing it at 113 is crazy. Feels like it was 150 yesterday. It's a mean double top, but at the same time, what is it doing? This kind of played out, Now it's back into this base, I feel like. So we could look for areas a little bit lower. I'd love to see this gap tested and refilled. I would love to see that. I can check my other chart here for some of my other indicators that I use. Just tell y'all what I'm seeing there. In general, I do like this one. I don't know if it's quite ready, but it is coming back, obviously, into this area of interest. We can see just pinged up here once, consolidated, dumped off it, reclaimed, back tested, and pushed off. So this is a very obviously important zone. Give me one sec while I check my oscillators on the other screen here. So Hood daily oscillator still heavily down. Not surprising. Hourly is 4 hourly is trying to double bottom, but it is not ready to yet. It is still expanding downwards and looking to try to make a lower low. Hourly is oversold, is just starting to curl. Not curl, but like round out. So it's not expanding the momentum. So it is an area where we can start looking on the hourly here. On the 15, it is relatively constructive double bottom in oversold territory. So it's not a bad place to look for a bounce, I got to say. We can look into it intraday here. Let's go hourly first. Oh, it's just so sketchy, though. You never like to see this. The volume profile is like a big node at the bottom here and then skinnier up here. And that's just providing a lot of downward pressure that we got to be cognizant of. In general, I think we do get better entries for some of these, but if you are expecting a bullish tomorrow, which isn't a terrible bet, you could take a shot here. For SPY in general, let's see what's going on. I just don't think it's ready, and there is a potential for quite a tumble downside here. Like we are kind of just holding on the hourly. Like if we flipped this chart, I would be very bullish. So I'm less inclined to be very bearish, but I gotta respect the bearishness. If you guys have been following me for a while, it's been very easy to be bullish, but I've been quite bullish for I don't know, ever. So I gotta respect when things are not looking as pretty as they have in quite a while. So we will keep watch on this 663 to 665, we're going to call it, basically where these wicks form down here. And we got to see some strength above it. Gap above would be really nice. But in general, like when we sweep out a low like this, we want to just power up out of this. That's what we'd really like to see if we're bull. Otherwise, I am biased to the downside. And this pivot, I put this pivot here, and we chose this one for our little higher or low game just because this is where this big power expansion candle down came, but then we tried to find buyers. And so this is kind of the little range that if we can reclaim, it becomes a nice base of support. And on the hourly, it's a double bottom. But otherwise, it's just a back test of this area where we tried to bottom, see these double wicks, and rejected. So as of now, tried to hold, bottom wicks, failure. Tried to hold, bottom wicks, failure. Back test. Trend is still down. but we have 20 minutes left. So usually algorithmically, you like to see the higher, the low of the day in the last half hour. So I would not be surprised if we flushed out here in the next 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes, and maybe bottomed either there or at the 10-minute till close MOC candle. Those are some things to look for there. And I'm going to see if anything's jumping out on my watch lists. CLF was a fun trade we took this morning. Let's talk about that one. This was my only non-index trade besides ONDS, which went terribly. So this one, I was looking for 1050 to backtest in the morning. It did not, but I was seeing the strength in this opening range that was forming on the 5-minute and like the 15-minute opening range here. And I just saw these bottom wicks, and I got involved when it was reclaiming this pivot. I think probably on this red candle, might have been on this one. Yeah, I think I saw this pivot forming on these two, and then this third one here on the reclaim, I was involved. And then I added when it broke high of day. So it broke and it looked good and went pushed down and pushed back up through this pivot. You know, I'm all about those reclaims. That's when I added. And then we got a really nice explosion up here. Found sellers, came back up, and I was trimming there because this was a significant red candle, and you know, we got a nice move already to the 11 handle. So half off there, was up like 60-70% or something. And then we got the nice expansion here. Theta killed him just a little bit in here, but not too bad. So I think it was about 120% up here. I took 100% right there. So that was a good little pocket change trade off a few very cheap contracts. CLF is one I'm going to keep on my focus list, though, because we have some really nice potential for a really big move. Question is this a base or is it a bear flag? I'm not sure, but I thought we'd have to come up here, sweep this, and test it either way. So it could very well be a bear flag. If it's not, though, we are coming back into this support cluster, and we have a lot of gappy tape above. I'd like to see a surge up to 12, clean this up, come back test this 1125 to 1150 area, and then I'd like to see a push up on in to this 12 to 13, 50 to 14 area. Not saying it happens, but I like it. So potential for a big move either way on this guy, actually. And look at this. Oh, yeah, we got fibs in here. Trade the pool's got everything I need. All right. And so this is why it's such an interesting setup. We're trading right into this 50, and we are kind of rejecting it today. So honestly, this might be a great short swing, and you could target that 10 handle. And then if you get there, you're probably sweeping this. There's a chance that it holds the 10, actually. But, you know, if it sweeps this, then it opens the floodgates down to, I mean, honestly, 8. Bad structure down here, too. So this is just one that I could see going either way, but I'm seeing something perhaps starting to happen on SPY that we're going to keep an eye on here. And what I'm seeing is this higher low and this nice surge here. So I think this is starting to look constructive. Again, we're testing this pivot we have here, and I think that it's going to probably try to close up at the 665 if it can post a nice close over here on like a 5-minute stick or something like that. Let's see, a liquidity grab ahead of Nvidia earnings. That is very, I think you're on the right track. I think you might be right here. And let's talk about this a little bit. So we are seeing significant downside into one of the most important binary events in the market. Because here's the thing. If you are long SPY in your 401k, you don't really think about it like this, but you're actually just long the AI trade, because the top like 4, 5, 6, 7 companies that are moving SPY are all hinging on this AI narrative. So if Jensen comes out and says, you know, all the right things, essentially, that, you know, there's going to be this increased capex, that there's going to be money and there's going to be eventually revenue coming out of this. I mean, that's the thing. The other aspect of this, JPM is posting some relatively bearish stuff on the actual amount of revenue companies will need to increase by to offset their AI spending. So there are those headwinds, but if Nvidia, or if anybody can buck this narrative, it's Nvidia, and it would be on their earnings. So this is going to be a very, very pivotal event. What day is it? Pulling it up on my other screen here. Nvidia is pushing right now, by the way. Looking like we're bottoming on the day. Not much time left, but not a bad sign. So maybe we get some upside tomorrow. So it is on Wednesday night, which means that we have a couple days to mess with people and shake the tree and make it look really bearish before we potentially get a really nice rally into the end of year. I think we are seeing a scrambling for positioning in these couple of rallies here, and I think there is a decent amount of uncertainty and kind of geopolitical just spookiness going on right now. A lot of weird headlines in the news. I'm sure you guys have seen some things that I did not have on my 2025 bingo card. Let's put it like that. So without getting too specific, we got to watch. Nvidia's a doji candle into key level, into key binary event that will have major implications for the market. So definitely a lot riding on Nvidia. Jensen could save the market. Jensen could kill the market. We know where he wants to take the market. It's not down. We will see if the market is buying what he's selling. It's going to be a big event for sure. If we do get that, then we can start looking for some really nice catch-up trades in some of the AI baskets that have been really beat on. So just off the top of my head, not saying go out and buy this, but I'll be looking at baskets like Sound that have been just punished, that are coming back and filling gaps. And these are charts where you should look on the higher time frames. And the more I look, the more I think, hey, maybe these still need to cool off some more. We can look at the data center names. IREN is the best kind of bellwether here, or weather vane. Let's have some fun with fibs. I mean, it's still way up here. It's not even at the 50% retrace yet. So, like, if you're waiting to buy the dip on these, I think that a lot of people are going to be getting burnt buying the dip early and getting shaken out. I mean, I'd love to see a back test of this base break, which is another 25% down on the index. So, something to keep in mind. And we are getting our expansion right to the 665 gamma zone. We should expect a little bit of shake and bake here. Let me take a look and check on our flow ratio is positive. That's a good sign. Where is our 0 gamma? Way above us. So we are still in negative gamma, deep negative gamma, which means that we can get jagged moves in both sides and overshoots of levels on both sides. So this push above does not yet mean that we are surging through this level. We could very easily wick back down, but it is a good sign. So we're going to keep an eye there. Taking a peek over at our gamma levels, we are seeing an increase of the 670s. That is starting to outtake the 667s. Good sign for a little bit of ramp. And can draw this to represent our 667, which is notable, but not not mega notable. I think the 670 is going to be our bigger draw, and maybe it wicks up into the 668. And again, this is just, we only have 10 minutes left. So this is just kind of directionality into the end of day. I think it's more likely at this point that we are going to pin here. So if you scalped long, good time to lock in the gains. But yeah, like Oplin mentioned, we got to be aware of this potential liquidity grab into Nvidia earnings. We could see further downside into it, and then that be the savior event. We got to be careful if we see a rally, a bottom here today into the event, because that could be a sign that they are just getting out into the event. Not my base case, but something to consider for sure. So we're going to round up the day here, see what we see from a bird's eye level. This was our price action for the day. This was our pivot line for the power hour. Were we going to close above or below? It looks like we're going to get a close above. Looks like we are pinned to the 665 level. They would like to close it right above the 665 level. So that'll be my guess. We close, we'll call it 665.10. And mock candle was 2 minutes ago. That was a buy candle that's getting faded for now. That's interesting as well. And I will check on exposure into tomorrow. See how that changes the picture. See that stabilization though? As gamma rolls off into the end of the day, the calls and puts get closed or start dying worthless as they're out of the money. The 0DTs, that is, and the gamma exposure can be unhedged. And the point that's still there, the strongest, the 665 node, this will be the kind of pivot here. And then into the end of the day, we'll get all sorts of degens making bets and swinging it around, and then they'll have to rehedge. But it's really cool to see just the push above coming down and then the wick here. So it was trying to, at this point, for this 5-minute period, this was the target. And now we've got, a little bit of new flow popping back in on the 662s. Sorry, 663s. So yeah, this is just little active hedging going in. And this is where it's super cool to draw these levels out on your chart and to watch the gamma exposure live, because you can start seeing these profiles develop over the course of the day. And it just really helps you kind of understand what's moving the price intraday, because very often it's these intraday hedging flows that need to occur. And this doesn't surprise me either. We're trying to pin back up to the 665. They'd really like to close it above. They don't want to pay those puts out. Nobody wants to see bears win. Am I right? It's just one of those things. Just one of those things. Let's see what else is going on today. How's Tesla closing? Strong push to end the day, but fading just a little. Looks like it's getting bought up. And we got to watch, are these bear flags or are they bottoms? Because if they're bottoms, we can get some explosive moves up. Zoom is a name that I'm watching for a swing. Taking a tumble today, but I think the daily chart is quite constructive. Although, don't love seeing this low get tested. So we're keeping an eye on this one. Maybe it needs to come back here and form another bottom. But long term, I do like this. It's on my focus list. You'll notice a trend in the names that I like watching here for swings. They all tend to be consolidating near the top of a big base. So we got some alerts going off on SPY. Something's happening. Let's find out what. Power stick. Interesting. So remember, if they close under the 665, market makers have to pay out. But this is the pin. This is the magnet. So there's an incentive to hold it above, but as they get above, see there's like gravity pushing it back down to the 665. Really cool to watch. Really cool to watch. And we can look on the left side here, say upside target would be this wick up, 666.15. But bulls are running out of time. Let's see. Okay, and we're going to check on VIX as well. Jeez, Oplin Group, nice little 7,000 on Hood riding the squeeze into close. Let's take a look at that. Somebody is trading with a bigger account than I. Congratulations. Very nice trade. Okay, beautiful. So yeah, very, very clean. We were recognizing that there were some buyers here. We recognized on the high time frame why they could step in. We had the overall market picking us up as well. This is a name that was overly beat down. Therefore, it provided a nice, as Oplin says, squeeze. This is what a squeeze looks like here. Basically, sellers, they were greedy and short all day long, finally getting squeezed out and saying, all right, okay, party's over. We're not moving any lower. We've got a nice rounded base here, and now they can just fight to close out over each other. And likely, okay, so we're reaching into this area here, which came up and then sold. So this is a cohort of sellers that's being tested right now. They should keep getting squeezed, I would imagine. The only thing saving them is the bell here in a few minutes. So you could see an explosive move up here for another minute or two, but sounds like you're already out and you got the meat, which is how to play these anyway. So great job there. And Oplin Group also saying, I doubled down when Nvidia started moving and assumed they would squeeze shorts. Yeah, absolutely. And so this is where it really just helps to have a strong understanding of these mechanical phenomena that happen every day, because you do get these very consistent moves. See, like, I'm not a genius. This is just like a mechanical thing. They're just squeezing shorts, and you love to see it. Shows that we are not ready to puke our guts out here. And take a look at SPY. Are they doing the same? Probably. A little bit weaker here. So you found a nice little pocket of relative strength off the bottom there, which is another good sign. If momentum has flow going into it towards the close after a big red day, that's a sign that, hey, maybe tomorrow's a little bit greener. Maybe we're starting to bottom out here. But again, SPY, sticking to home base. Remember, our guess was 665.10 for the close. We'll see how close we get. We got 2 minutes and we're not far off. Let's check in on Nvidia again. So nice relative strength. We love to see that. Yeah, no problem, Upland. Happy to have you in here. Feel free to join the Discords we have as well. We have one for Trade the Pool, and that is... I can drop both links for you if you're interested, but we have one for Trade the Pool, and then we also have my personal one as well. You are more than welcome to both communities if you like. Yeah, sure thing, man. Sure thing. So Nvidia on the hourly now, posting a really nice engulfing candle here. Looks like it wants to come home and test this this pivot here at 187. Call it 188. Why not? Long term, higher high. Good stuff. I'm liking what I'm seeing. You know, it's like one of these gut checks in the market in general. And you know, it often happens that they'll line these up with big binary market event like Nvidia earnings. That's definitely talk of the town this week. But I mean, this is a chart. It's like a Rorschach test. It's like, what do you see? Do you see a double bottom and then a reconfirmation? Or do you see an inverted cup and handle that's about to explode downwards? You know, it really does depend on how you sit on the market. So where did we close? That is the bell, guys. We closed strong. So they did try. C665 was such a wall into close. This is why these gamma levels can be so useful. What did we know? We knew when it was down here that this was going to be the draw and they wanted to close it over here. And we also knew that we couldn't really expect too much more because the next level was so much higher. So after hours, maybe it can hit it overnight. But for cash session, very quick little scalp there with high confidence. And you could also, if you are a level count, you can also do some really fun, complex option strategies. Not super complex, but just intraday, you can essentially... sorry, I got distracted. You can essentially you can sell call or put spreads when you know there's a level that is very unlikely to get penetrated. So you could, for example, make a nice little profit selling some spreads that would basically say that you would not close under 665. As always, intraday stuff, zero DT stuff, risky. But when we get an edge like we can with some of these systems, gives you some really good trade opportunities. So into tomorrow, we are going to be looking for a nice mean reversion bounce up. We're going to be seeing if the buyers can hold. I'm going to be watching gold. I want more blood in the streets there. I'm not sure I get it, but that's going to be a name I'm watching. I'm watching Zim for a pullback. That one showed a lot of strength, and I bet it continues to. Besides that, I like the mega caps. If we can hold, I like Google. I really like Google. I like Tesla. And that should be about it. We're going to be back here tomorrow at the close. I will put the scanners back up here for you guys, for any of the after hours traders for you. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We're going to have some real good stuff coming up for you. So keep on tuning in. Until tomorrow, I'll see y'all. Take care now.